All right, I'm about to go ahead and go live everywhere else. Oh, this is a TBV raid. I'm having a TBV raid. Hey, I appreciate the TBV raid, y'all. TBV raid, welcome Trust but Verified raid. Y'all go ahead and tap that screen, the TBV. The WTBV raid, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for being here. Definitely appreciate y'all for being here. I definitely appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate y'all for being here for the TBV raid. Y'all go ahead and tap that screen. WTBV raid, y'all. I just came back from watching the Michael Jackson movie. Really good. Really good. Jafar Jermaine Jackson, he played his uncle to a T. That was amazing. Jafar Jermaine Jackson played his uncle to a T. That was amazing. That was a great performance by Jafar Jackson. He should I think he definitely needs to be the only Michael Jackson impersonator. He really needs to be the only one, because like it's the way he did that was incredible. I don't think anybody else could play Michael the way that he did. So Jafar Jackson definitely needs to be the only Michael Jackson impersonator that there is from now on. But yeah, the Michael Jackson movie was pretty good. Fabio Jackson? I have no idea who Fabio Jackson is. That family is so big, y'all. There's like 20 of them in the third generation alone. Like that family is huge. And I was just finding that out, like leaving the theater. All right, so if you're watching me over on Volsy Thoughts, I appreciate you. Y'all go ahead and keep tapping that screen. Y'all like it over there as well. But yeah, the Michael Jackson movie was actually really good. I went to college with a random Jackson nephew. Yeah, the Jacksons are just a big family. They're just a really big family, yo. And it's incredible how big that family is. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to open up the call line. I'm going to open up the call line now. Just give me a second. So we're going to open up the call line, and we're going to see if we can go ahead and get any callers. We're going to see if we can get any callers. Give me 1 second. All right, y'all. So new thing I'm doing now is I'm actually taking the calls over on the Discord. I could just find where it is. Don't tell me I lost it. Don't tell me I lost it. All right, y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and well, let me just open up the other call line. I'm going to go ahead and open up the call line so we can go ahead and see if we can get some callers in. All right, so y'all see the topic on the board and what I'm talking about tonight. All right, Billy Brown, go ahead and come on up. We're going to open up the call line in a second, y'all. Here's the thing, y'all. If y'all don't agree with what I have on the board, why don't you actually just have the discussion? Because there's been plenty of people here who thought that the conversation between me and them would be just this horrible, contentious thing. And as long as we respect each other, it never really is. You know? All right, y'all. So, yeah. Yo, babe. Babe.
What happened?
Kayla says she likes your outfit.
Oh, thank you.
Michaela, she said thanks. Yeah, but I told you, baby, you be looking good. But
You took a picture of me?
no, you walk by and they could see you in the background.
Oh,
Yeah, you walk by and they can see in the background, and someone said that the booty left the frame 5 minutes after you left it. You know what I mean? So it's all right, y'all. But call line is open. All right, y'all. But call line is open. 786-530-5941. If you disagree with what I have on the board, go ahead and come on up. I will appreciate any callers, anybody who would like to talk. We do these talks all the time, y'all. Don't worry, I don't bite. I'm not a mean guy. We just like to have these conversations. That's a lie. What's a lie, soul and spirit? Come on up and tell me what's a lie. I'm going to say this again, y'all. Have the discussion. Come on up. Let's talk. If you can. If you were family, then I get it. But come on up. Let's talk. Let's actually have the discussion. All right, Data. Let's go. Go ahead and come on up. Let's talk about it. But yeah, now the movie that I want to see next is Project Hail Mary. Hey, Dada, how's it going?
I'm fine. I was just curious, what do you mean by leftist?
I'm all right. Quick question: are you at least 18?
Yes.
All right, cool. So what I mean by leftist politics is basically leftist according to America, because around the world these are just normal. But according to American standards, things like universal health care, guaranteed housing, universal education, paid parental leave, reparations for African Americans, things like that. Those I think would be better for our general society because it makes us less stress. It gives us a better opportunity to be with our families. Et cetera, et cetera. Would you say you agree or disagree?
Well, yes, though I am a little bit further left than just that as well. I also think that in the history of America, because obviously most of those have not been implemented in America historically, but whenever there was a lot more like fiscally progressive taxes in America that allowed for a better standard of living for more Americans, this was usually funded by international imperialism. So I'm curious, like, if this is also a part of the pie, or like...
Oh yeah, definitely. Because leftism starts with anti-capitalism, so we got to get rid of capitalism sooner or later. It's just the reason why I'm more incremental is because I realized that a lot of America is still brainwashed by cults, by Cold Scare propaganda or Cold War propaganda. So something like universal healthcare 10 years ago, just 10 years ago, was seen as the worst thing in the world, and now people are more coming around to it. You feel me? But I do agree with you. We gotta get rid. We gotta go way more to the left to decrease like American imperialism and eventually get rid of capitalism. Now, I don't know how we do it yet. You may know more than me on that, and I will acquiesce more to your knowledge on how we get to not having capitalism anymore, because you may know way more than me on that end. But I do agree that we need to get to where you're talking about. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does, and I won't presume that I know more than you or anyone else, though. I think that one of the main issues that we've seen historically with an incremental approach is that in the pursuit of any given number of specific policy measures, there is an entire web of mutually reinforcing policies that we would need to overcome. And so the pursuit of something just for one example, universal health care, would need to first completely undo and permanently destroy private insurance as an entity, as a concept. It would also need to destroy the structure of hospital financing, the structure of medical care, all of these different things. It would need to eliminate debt for these people. And so
gotcha. I'm sorry, Dada. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Dada. Give me 1 second. Hey, caller, how's it going? Can I get your name, age, and did you want to talk about what I had on the board?
I didn't see what you had on the board. You can just call me Woe. I'm 25.
All right, well, 20.
What was it that you had up on the board?
What I had on the board is leftist policies are better for society. But give me one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, give me one moment. Gotcha. Give me one for a moment. Hold on for me real quick. I'll get right back to you. You're gonna hear hold music. All right. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, Dad. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What else you were saying?
So I'm gonna wrap it up. So basically, that like any incremental approach to any leftist policy will be met with an opposing force that is so much stronger than any of these positions, and so you would need to undo the entire system and all at once, and then rebuild it such that these leftist policies are inherent to the system.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, right? It's just basically like I get that for us to get to it essentially we need to have like a revolution, right? But is society ready to get to that point? And I'm not sure if we are yet. Now, I literally don't disagree with you, right? Like, because once you try to put in universal health care and ban private insurance, even people that will benefit from that is going to fight against you. So how do we, I'm more on how do we get to the point of those people who will fight against you? How do we get more of them to not fight against us to ban private insurance? Because right now we're at the point of maybe it's 45, 55, and the 55 are the ones who are going to fight against us. So do you see what I'm trying to get to? Do you think it's a bad strategy of what I'm trying to do? Or
well, I wouldn't say it's even 45, 55. I would say it's probably, you'll probably disagree with this. I think it's like 80-20, like 80% agree, 20% don't. Obviously, there are a lot of reactionaries that kind of just accept whatever any politician says. And so like they will adopt whatever position their politician says instead of the other way around. But I think that fundamentally, like when people are faced with something that would benefit them just due to their class interests, so like their financial standing versus whatever the head of the cult of personality that they follow says, they will inevitably go with their class interests. But the 20% are those with all the resources who uphold the system, who are those that we need to worry about.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. So it's essentially at this point we need I agree with you. We need revolution, and we are at the 80%. Is the 80% ready in your opinion? I'm not sure if we are. Just by the way, looking at maybe it's just my bias. Maybe
no,
you have better...
I don't think that they're ready yet. But if the Iran war continues for at least another month or two, the economic condition of America will become unbearable. There's a million different things that could like make the economic conditions unbearable. But as of like today, no.
Gotcha. I agree with that. Hey, Dada, go ahead and follow me real quick. I'm gonna follow you back because I definitely want to learn more. There's probably more that I need to read because I did see in your profile you said that you're a black radical, and the only reason why I don't consider myself that yet is because I'm not as learned as more people. You see what I'm saying? So I definitely want to go ahead and learn more if that's gonna be okay.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem, Dad. I appreciate you. You have a good night, all right? Yeah, power to the people. All right. Easy. How's it going, Easy Made? Are you at least 18? And did you disagree with what I had on the board?
Yeah, I'm at least 18, and leftist policies are better for society. I'm not so sure be able to make that argument. Are you saying that leftist policies are like what, socialist policies?
Yes. Did you hear what I said to the first person that was here? If not, that's okay. I can repeat it.
No, I didn't hear that.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So the policies that I'm talking about, honestly, they're normal for everywhere else, but they're considered leftist in America. That will be things such as universal health care, guaranteed housing, paid parental leave, more walkable cities, less dependence on cars, more environmental protections, more investment into renewable energy, universal education, subsidized childcare. All these things are considered leftist in America. They're normal everywhere else, but they're leftist in America. And I think they would contribute. They would be better for society because it would decrease our stress. It would actually make us more productive. All those things are better for us as a people. Do you think those will be bad for us as a people?
I think they could be. I don't really know the justification for them being like, the general good. I mean,
Okay.
I don't
Universal
think they're aligned
healthcare.
with what I see as good, but
Universal healthcare objectively makes society healthier because people who can afford to go see the doctor or don't have to worry about the bill to go see the doctor will have more preventable care options, and overall that would decrease the cost that we spend on our healthcare because we're taking care of. Hold on, we're taking care of issues before they become a problem.
Yeah, did you know that the people that do have preventative care, they're not using them? Like, at least within the United States, there are statistics and measures that you can sort of look into this. So no, you've made a generalization. Okay, you've made it. Okay, hold on. No, it doesn't. All right, so you've made this generalization. Okay, and what I said is the people that do have insurance, that do have preventative care, they are not using them.
Does it still cost in America to go see the doctor?
Yeah, no, not for the people with insurance.
I have insurance. It still costs me to go see the doctor.
Not for preventative care.
When you say preventative care, what do you mean?
As you outlined what preventative care is, so like in insurance, especially in America, they have like certain preventative care things like a physical, some tests, all of these things that are classified in preventative care. They don't even go towards your deductible. In fact, incentivize people to go there because it doesn't go towards deductible, yet people are not taking advantage, so to speak. Kind of works against your argument.
Like
it does? You agree?
No. So you're saying
well, you just say
so you're saying that.
Why are you saying then?
Because I'm listening to what you're saying. You understand that's like a tick I have.
Me.
Hold on. It's a tick I have when I'm listening to you. I make a noise. I say that means I'm understanding what you're saying. Doesn't mean I agree with you.
I thought you were agreeing. Well,
it doesn't mean
I asked you if you did.
No, I don't.
Asked you if you did. That's why.
Yeah, you just asked me, and I'm saying no. Okay.
I know. So, now I'm asking you again, but that's fine. I understand. Well, if it's a matter of habit, it's fine. I didn't realize. Okay.
All right. Cool. So when here's the thing. Like physicals, right? You do have to go to your yearly physicals. There is a thing of you have to at least get your checkups. That is one thing. But when you look at when you look at why people don't actually go to the doctor, the cost is always the number one thing.
Well, this falls under preventative care. Like, for example, I have insurance and I don't use any of my preventative care. Now, that's a personal case, but there are statistics that can back this up, that individuals within the U.S., that have this. So I think we can get over this. I mean, it is a statistic. You can look this up. So I think that goes against your generalization. Now, if you want, we can go move beyond that. And, you can make a different sort of argument based off of like universal healthcare or whatever. Just that unless you force people, to like get this preventative care, you won't really get the results of like this healthcare, right? Simply by just saying and asserting that this is free.
Give me a second.
I can tell you, man, like I've got tons of insurance. I don't use it. I've got dental. I don't use it. Got eye insurance. I don't use it.
I agree with you on what you're saying, right? Like most people don't use the preventative care, even though it's covered.
Yeah.
But do you understand that the reason why they're not using it is because they think that it costs? So the problem. Hold on. That means the problem is probably an information gap, right?
I know that it doesn't cost, and I don't use it.
Okay, cool.
Now you made another inference.
I know that you know that it does. That I know.
Okay, so then just look at the data.
Hey, my guy. Let me finish what I'm saying. I know that it doesn't cost, and I know that it doesn't cost. However, when you look at to the reason why people do not use their preventative care is because they're thinking of the cost.
How do you know this?
I just looked it up. How do you know this? I just looked it up. So
show us what's stated that.
No. So
what is your source?
No. So when let's have it. You just named something without naming a source, but you want me to name a source.
What do you? Okay, hold
on. Wait. You just named something without naming a source. I want to look it up to make sure that you are correct.
You just came up with this.
So no, I didn't just come up with this. All right. So you want me to show my screen?
No, I don't need you to show.
You just told me to name the source. So you want me to show the screen? Let's show the screen.
Okay. I'm trying to be good faith with you.
All right, so no,
don't say the Lord's name in vain.
I'm trying to fuck God. I'm trying to be good faith with you as well. But you
think
said
that's being
something.
good faith?
You said something that's not that you didn't source, and I just accepted it. Now that I'm saying something, you don't want to accept it. You want to source?
No, it's not that I'm okay. When I say let me see the source, I'm not demanding it in this way. I just want to know the methodology for how they made this assertion.
From the National Institute of Health.
If I could finish,
hold on.
because I do want to be good faith with you.
I want to be good faith as well. But let's just hold on. Let's just do this. What you just said comes from the National Institute of Health. What I just said also comes from the National Institute of Health. Both of them saying this. All right, cool. So the reason why people are not going to use the preventative care is because they're concerned about the cost, which means there's an information gap. People think it's going to cost them, which is fine. We can fill in that information gap as well, right? But again, like I said before, the number one reason that people do not go to the doctor is because it's going to cost them. So let's go ahead and remove that middleman.
I didn't even realize you muted me. So what I was saying,
I didn't mute you.
Okay. What I was saying is that the empirical data shows, right? As such, like they're not using it, even though it's free. Now, the next thing is that, and I know that it's coming from the same place. I'm saying, what is the methodology that they are using to come to this conclusion? And you're going to find that this is like pointed surveys, right? And saying, hey, did you know this was the thing? If you knew this was the case, would you? And so they're just making it off of just like, a pointed survey and then making this like...
So what?
This doesn't prove that to be the case.
What are you talking about?
Okay.
So what?
A survey, a pointed survey. Okay,
all right.
You know
so what you're also talking about is also a survey. What are we saying?
So okay,
these are all these things work. These are all surveys. All right. Let me ask you a question. Why would universal health care be bad for America? Why would it be bad for us?
Yeah, sure. The reason why it would be bad is because, all right, it would require a reallocation of resources. Okay.
So
does that make sense?
No. Everything requires an allocation of resources. What are we talking about?
A reallocation of resources.
Yeah,
it's not about like
right. Cool. We have to reallocate resources.
Are you okay with force? Are you okay with force?
I'm okay with force in some cases. Yeah.
Okay. In which cases?
And sometimes, for self-defense, for the greater good, I'm okay with force. Okay,
so for self-defense, right? All right. Now, what if it's not in self-defense? What if it's aggression?
I don't think I think this is not analogous because universal healthcare is not aggression.
I'm not saying that it's analogous. I just want to know, what if it's aggression?
Aggression on what? Towards who? For what?
I'm just saying force. Okay, right. Intended.
Right. What I'm asking is,
which is in aggression. You're saying
I got you. What I'm asking you is aggression towards what? Because self-defense is still aggression. So aggression towards what?
No, self-defense is not aggression. Aggression will be the first party to initiate conflict. Self-defense is not the initiator.
All right, cool.
An aggressor is the initiator.
So all right. So when you say aggression towards what?
It could be towards anything, like with the use of force. I'm saying, okay.
Again, in some cases, I'm fine with it.
You're okay with aggression?
In some cases, I'm fine with that.
To initiate the conflict? Okay, tell me which case that you're okay to initiate conflict.
Yeah, if someone is killing someone else, I'm going to go ahead and aggress on them.
That's not you initiating the conflict, is it? That's self-defense.
No, it isn't.
It's
not my self-defense. I'm defending someone else.
Yeah, it's still defending, right?
Right, but it's not self-defense. It's defense against some. It's defense for someone on behalf of someone else. So I'm okay with aggression at that point.
So somebody else is aggressing on somebody else, and you are coming in,
and I'm going to aggress on them
against the initiator.
Yeah, I'm aggressing on the initiator because I can mind my business. Okay. I can aggress on it, so I'm aggressing on the initiator. I can mind my business and leave it alone. Okay. So I'm okay with aggression on that point. But what I'm saying is that if you're saying that this is not analogous to universal health care. Okay, hold on. If you're saying that this is not analogous to universal health care, why are we talking about this?
Well, the reason why is because the reallocation of resources requires the initiation of force against people who perhaps rightfully have resources, and you're like, well, I'm going to now say like no, and then take it and then redistribute it. I mean,
no, that doesn't make any sense.
Really seem,
that's not what universal healthcare is, bro. That's not what universal healthcare
totally is.
So no, it's not. Hold on, no, it's not. Hold on, let me finish what I'm saying.
Well, you've been doing nothing.
Hold on. This is not what universal healthcare is. It's not taking from someone and give to somebody else. Because when healthcare, if it's universal healthcare, that means it's universal, which means you're going to be able to use it too. So it's not taking from you and giving to someone else. You're also able to use it. Hold on. Do you understand how insurance? Hold on. You have insurance, right? You understand how insurance works?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You understand that you're all putting money into a risk pool, and claims are paid out of that risk pool. Your premium is not going to a piggy bank for you only. You understand that?
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Doesn't matter.
That does matter because under universal healthcare, hold on. Under universal healthcare, hold on. Under universal healthcare, that's exactly what that would be. We're all putting into a risk pool. So it's not something someone getting from
what if I don't want to put it in?
Hold on.
What if I don't want to put it in? Are you going to force me? Are you going to initiate aggression?
We already do that. What do you think Medicare is?
Okay. You think that I'm okay with that?
If you're not okay with that, you can move out of America. But that's what we use our taxes for.
So how about
that's what we use our taxes for. What we use our taxes for.
What
we use our taxes for is the general welfare of society. And I'm saying that healthcare should be a part of that because we use it for roads and military already. Why not healthcare?
Are you okay with capitalism?
No, capitalism sucks.
Why don't you move out of America then? You see how stupid of an argument that was?
Because my entire life is here.
Argument just now.
Because
you
my
just gave me that argument.
Yeah, I know,
you know that, right? About taxes?
I know. Hold on. I'm going to need you to shut up real quick. I know the argument is stupid. That was the point. Fucking Christ. All right. Runaway Davey. How's it going, Runaway Davey? Are you at least 18? And
hey,
what did you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm 31.
Mm-hmm.
I think in some ways maybe left policies are better, but I think in other ways they're not.
All right, which did you hear the ones that I'm referring to?
I didn't hear much of what you guys were saying. I just read the prompt and then
gotcha. So I got you. So the leftist policies that I'm referring to are things like universal health care, universal education, investment into renewable energies and walkable cities, parental leave, paid parental leave, things like that. I think would be better for society to decrease stress, to give us more time with our families, et cetera, et cetera.
What was the third one?
I think I said universal education, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Something about, I thought you said something about electricity or renewable.
Yeah, investment into renewable energies. I would say I'm one of the leftists who would like to invest into like nuclear power more. Nuclear power and definitely geothermal. We should be heavily invested into geothermal actually because like you're never going to run out of geothermal energy. So like Earth is not going to stop having plate tectonics for billions of years. So we should definitely invest into geothermal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of disagree with that third one, only because I work for I work in politics to some extent, and we go over every week these electric and gas policies that are being taken place, and it's kind of wild because at least where I live, the renewable energies or like trying to go more green has actually cost consumers more. Like, it's kind of a monopoly system here where I live in Colorado. And, we only have one person that we can get electricity from, which is Excel. Mm-hmm. And Excel had, an older model plant that they paid on for 50 plus years. And because we want to do renewable energy and we want to have all these green efficiencies, we actually made law that, put a new plant in place. And now we're paying for both the old plant as well as the new plant. So it's made our electricity prices double.
You have a monopoly, right?
Well, it's somewhat like a monopoly. Excel's pretty much the only place that you can get electricity from.
Right, exactly. I have a problem with that. There shouldn't be monopolies.
Yeah, but it's usually like these left policies that get put into place. Like that make, I think they have good intention. Like, I'm not going to say they don't. Like, they're trying to help climate change. It's just that the cost gets passed down to the consumer, and it makes it harder for people who are, lower income or in poverty to afford electricity.
Right. But the reason why that is because our government
green initiatives.
I got you. But one of the big reasons why that is because our government are a bunch of morons who ignored climate change. So now we're paying the cost for it. That'll be number one. But the second thing that I would say is that what's driving up the cost in your area is because you already said it. You're a monopoly. You have no other choice. So of course, when they start to put in certain policies or invest in certain things, it's gonna cost more because they're literally the only ones. Now, I think the federal, since we have a federal government, they're the ones that should be investing into this way more heavily, and there shouldn't be any monopolies of any power company. We should have, there shouldn't be any monopoly of any power company at all. I don't know how we get to know power companies. Like I like solar punk, but I don't know how we do solar punk at this juncture in humanity. But at the end of the day, if we had more, if the power company in your area were to have like nuclear energy, then that cost would drop like a stone, right?
Yeah. And I just I live in Colorado and I'm from here, and I've seen how much more expensive it's become. I've seen, I got my master's degree, and I've seen how expensive education has become. And I feel like all these things make it really impossible for somebody like myself. Like, I came from, being a GED dropout, someone who was living on the streets, poverty, and try to turn my life around. But it's like all these policies that the left put in, like, really make it hard for me to like get ahead.
How?
Because, what did you say?
How?
Like, for example, I just started making, because I just graduated like probably 5-6 months ago with my master's degree, and I got like employment, but employers are doing a lot of contract work. So I'm a contractor, and because I'm a contractor, I'm not getting health or dental insurance, right? Medical insurance. And so, long story short, that's another cost I have to do. But because there's all these other costs for like the green initiative, right? Like, if I want to buy a house, I'm going to pay for new construction like $80,000, if not more, because of all the stuff that like help with climate. And because we also have like laws that put boundary laws, like you can't build on certain land, it's made supply and demand, like obviously it's made supply go down, so demand's gone up, and it's made everything more expensive because there's not enough available housing. So,
the thing is with the housing crisis is that's been an issue since Obama. Yeah, I mean, like ever since then, there's been a shortage of housing, and then COVID just made it worse. So, like the issue that you're talking about,
builders don't want to build,
right? But that's not really
the builders don't want to build because they have all this red lining tape.
Right. I mean, no, there are like red tape around, right? No one can deny that a lot of times there's red tape, but is the red tape there for like a reason? Yeah, I mean, and if it's there for a reason, it's there for a reason. I don't know what it is in your area, but I know that there's going to be a red tape. There's going to be things for. Hold on, give me a second, because I don't like people spamming in my thing. Give me a second, because people just spam. All right.
Like, I'm unaffiliated,
right, cool.
So I'm not like MAGA or Republican. I'm completely unaffiliated. I just have seen these left policies like harm. At least it feels like they're left policy, because I live in a very, very left-leaning state. I don't even think the Republican Party exists in Colorado, really. So all the policies and things happening are coming from the left, and it's become more expensive. It's become like almost impossible to buy a house.
How do you explain Florida?
Well, Florida's a lot cheaper than Colorado.
It's not.
Denver's housing, the average house, it's like number 3 in the nation. The average house is like literally $650,000.
The average house in Denver?
And Denver is, it's like top 5 in the nation.
Average house in Miami is around that much as well.
Yeah, like if you want, like the house I'm in now with my boyfriend is actually like $850, and it's like 2,200 square feet.
Yeah.
Like 850,000 for that house.
Right. No,
You know what I'm saying?
I get it. Right. Like, things are very, very expensive, but I don't think they're expensive specifically because of left leaning policies. Is expensive because of like things like low supply, like supply chains and issues like that. Right. We've had
Because of Not in My Backyard. Like, have you heard of Not in My Backyard, where people don't want to build because of environmental reasons? Like, they're like, oh, we wanted to preserve nature.
Right. There's those issues, but here over Not in My Backyard is because there's no one black people around. So it depends on,
That's
where you are.
awful.
Yeah. It really just depends on where you are, because they do Not in My Backyard here as well, right? But it's we people advocate for like not multi-income, but like multi-family housing and stuff like that. And the suburban people always do Not in My Backyard over here because of that, because the people who usually do multi-family housing are black and Hispanic people, at least Hispanic people who are not Cuban. You see what I'm saying? So like that's the issue over here. So it's different everywhere you go. I think the issue with the lack of housing, it goes back all the way to 2008. Ever since then, there's been a lack of housing in America, and we need to fix that, right? Like the zoning laws I think the zoning laws are the number one issue. People talk about corporate housing, right? Corporate housing can affect the housing supply, but I think the number one reason is because of zoning laws. You know what I mean? And those
because a lot of these left leaning, like, I've interviewed them because I do videography for these politicians, and a lot of the people, like the person who's in charge of the Democratic campaign here, right, in Colorado, he told the in the interview that I did of him, he said specifically out of his mouth that he literally wants people to live in 1 to 2 bedroom apartments because it's more efficient for the environment. It's more eco-friendly, and that he doesn't like people commuting and having single family homes. So this narrative is like, as a kid who came from poverty, it's like, how do I get out of poverty if you wanted to put me back in a 1-bedroom apartment? Like, I want to work hard and like have a single family home. That's always been my dream because I've never had that as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what makes me a little bit concerned, because it's like we're so worried about the environment versus, people's day-to-day lives and trying to like get out of poverty and helping them like
but the thing
afford
is
a house.
But the thing is, just because you're in an apartment doesn't mean that you're in poverty, right? That's the first thing I would say.
No, for sure, but
the second, hold on,
I don't want to do that my whole life.
I got you. But the second thing that I would say is that the single family homes and the commute, that does make the environment bad. That is causing issues in the environment. And as a matter of fact, there's a lot of like I don't know if you follow a lot of channels on YouTube, but they talk about this issue all the time on how the suburbs were actually bad for society and humanity because the commute caused pollution, and the commute caused actually more stress and all the asphalt around. And now that there's a costing to it as well. There are more like disadvantages with suburbs than there are advantages. Not to mention that it was started because of racism. And so it's like I get the whole single family home thing and the white picket fence. That's been a thing, for Pax Americana since the 50s, but it's not exactly the best thing for our culture or our society. It atomized a lot of people. Yeah, I mean,
I get what you're saying to some extent. It's just like, I watched this documentary about soil regenerative farming, right? Like, I got really big into composting and regenerative farming. There's a documentary on Netflix called Kiss the Soil or Kiss the Ground. And it talks about how if we all just planted like more plants and had community gardens, then like a lot of the, problems we're having would be erased. And there was a lot of celebrities from California that were in this. But, like, I think everybody has a different way that they approach how to help the environment and the climate. Obviously, if you talk to different scientists, they'll have different, solution. But, I just worry. It's like we're worried about 200 years in the future, but like, are we even gonna be able to survive the next 20 years because we're putting so much stress and strain that we're gonna like cause a civil war because we're like creating such division now, and it's like,
but why
I think people on the right are just trying to, I don't know.
I mean, when I talk to people on the right, it seems like a lot of them just don't care. Yeah, I mean, so it's when we talk about the divisions now, here's the thing that I get from people from the right, right? They talk about the divisions now never existed. You see what I'm saying? The divisions now have always existed. They just were in their little bubble. You see what I'm saying? And they never knew about these divisions. People really thought that racism wasn't an issue until Obama became president. And we know that's wrong because the 1960s were a thing, right? So it's really that like when I hear this all the time, right? People from the right, people from the left, they all say we just want to live a good and better life, and you're the ones who's trying to stop us from doing it. That's not really true. Yeah, I mean, we all want to live a content and better life. It's all on how we would like to get there, right? Now, the thing that I see from the right when we point out things like systemic discrimination and things of that matter happening, right, and concerns with the environment, a lot of them I either think that it doesn't happen or that it's not, it doesn't have any measurable effects, but they do. You see what I'm saying? That's always been my issue with the right.
Like, can you give an example? Sorry, just or like I hear what you're saying. I feel like both. This is why I become unaffiliated, because I don't think you're wrong. Like, I think there's definitely, like I said, some left policies that are really good for society. But I also feel like there's left policies that miss the mark. And I wish each side was humble enough to and have humility enough to say, oh, you know, we had good intention, but we missed the mark. And I think for some reason there's been like this tribalism in politics. And I think it's been exacerbated by, you know, Trump and obviously the population mirroring his behavior. That's kind of created this like, oh, we can't be wrong. We can't admit fault. We have to be so, you know, stuck in our belief that, you know, we don't ever find solution that really benefits all of us. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, they're like what you just said, right? There are people who I really call just performative leftists who like advocate for certain policies, but don't implement them and don't execute them in a way that's beneficial for everybody, right? That does happen. We know about. I think everybody agrees with that, especially when it comes to the Democrats. They would advocate for a policy, try to put it in, and they won't execute it right. Like, for example, defund the police, right? Defund the police was not just about don't give the police money and just screw them, right? It was about allocating the funds, because you can't, you know, you can't give the LAPD from 13 billion and then you give them 7 billion, but then what happened to the 6 billion? You know what I'm saying? You don't allocate that towards like homelessness or education or addiction centers or mental health centers, et cetera, et cetera. If you don't allocate that money, if you don't allocate it somewhere that is going to benefit people or help the people that need it, there was no point of defunding them. You see what I'm saying? Because that's what I mean, and that's a lot of times that's what Democrats do. But
well, then it was making property crime. Like I literally got stolen from, and because we defunded or like put less funds towards the police, people were more likely to commit crime, and then crime rose, at least where I lived, and I had everything I owned stolen, and the cops couldn't even like literally catch anybody or do anything about it. And I remember when I traveled to San Francisco, beyond my, my own state, I went to San Francisco, and I went during, the pandemic where, they decriminalized or they made it not a felony to steal under a certain amount. Well, all the stores in the financial district were like getting ransacked and like stolen from, and people were just continuously stealing. And we have that same law really here. And it incentivizes theft, right? And it's like, I don't think that we should be treating people, obviously, the way that we're treating them in our judicial system, because it's really effed up. Like, I've been a part of that, luckily I got out of that, but, and I don't like the way that it's ran, but it's also like we're incentivizing people to steal and commit crime because there's no action.
Let me ask you a question.
There's no consequence.
Let me ask you a question. When people steal, what do they do with the material?
When people steal, I was never really a thief, so I don't know what they did with it.
Give me a second.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Hey, caller, hold for me real quick, please. Thank you. All right. So when people steal things from the store,
like my crimes were mostly alcohol related,
I got you.
So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I got you. When people steal things from the store,
sorry.
when people steal things, I got you. When people steal things from a store, they're not just keeping it on their shelf, right? They're going to sell it, which means that they're stealing for money. right? So
they're trying to get the money.
They're trying to get the money. So why would they need more money in order to pay for their living, right? So if we actually address things like that, material conditions, we would see things like robbery and thievery decrease, wouldn't we?
Well, you know what I'm talking about, right? That policy that got rid of
I know what you're talking about.
the felony.
I know what you're talking about.
If you steal a certain amount of money.
I got you. A lot of people will call it an overcorrection, right? And I get that part. There is a little bit overcorrecting there. But the issue is just like what I said before. They did one thing without addressing the other. So you can say like it's not a felony to steal under a certain amount. But if you don't actually address the material conditions of why people steal, then it's just going to continue to do it. You see what I'm saying? So
for sure. No, I get what you're saying. Like, I definitely think we need more rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
I think, the system is set up as, a money system for sure. Like I said, I have criminal record because of my addiction and I'm in recovery now. But, I saw how, I wasn't getting help for my addiction and I was just having to go and pay more fees and more dues and how it set up a cycle. But, it's like, I'm glad I had a criminal record because it made me reflect and think, okay, maybe I actually need to do something different because what I'm doing now is making me like get in trouble, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I think sometimes if we get rid of those laws and we say, oh, you can steal and you're not going to become a felon, then all of a sudden you're going to go want to steal more. Right?
Nah, that's not how it happens. They're still going to steal anyway. There's no they're not going to get a felony for it anymore.
But you don't remember how much more the theft went up after they did that?
Yeah, the theft went up because again, they didn't address the material conditions still. So like, yeah, if I still they're just gonna say, okay, I can only steal this little bit of amount because I'm gonna become a felon, and boom, once you lower that, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna become a felon anymore. Now I can steal more. You still didn't address the material condition. If you never address the material conditions,
sure,
people are still gonna steal. And what leftists want to do now, of course, we're talking about like Democrat. I don't consider Democrats left, but like what leftists want to do is actually address material conditions. And if we actually address material conditions, you'll see less robbery and less people stealing things, or less like thievery. I guess you can say. I'm not sure that's a word. You'll see less of it because we actually address the reason why people steal. Now, of course, there's thrill seeking. Yeah, I mean, when people are teenagers and everything like that, they just do thrill seeking and they shoplift for whatever reason that they want because they think it's fun. But if there's less of a reason to thrill seek for shoplifting, then you won't see a lot of shoplifting anymore. Like there's kids from the suburbs who still shoplift, you know what I'm saying? And they just do it for the heck of it, for the fun. And there's kids who joyride for the heck of it, for the fun, because it's thrill seeking. But you see less of it in areas where people's material conditions are met.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with some of what you said, to be honest. I mean, I can only look at it from the lens I've lived, which has been addiction, right? And unfortunately, I have, some things under my past. But it's like, in my mind, it's like, okay, I drove under the influence, right? And it's like, if that law didn't exist, that like it was no longer a criminal offense, I would drink and drive all the time, right? Like, because I actually, when I drink, I like to drink and drive, which is why I don't drink anymore. I mean, there's many other reasons, but it's like one very clear reason. So in my mind, it's like, it made logical sense. Like, okay, I'm glad that law exists, because if it didn't exist, it'd probably give me more motivation to do it. And I think both can be true. I think.
Why wouldn't the motivation to not simply just be, I don't want to kill anyone while I'm drinking and driving?
Because like when I'm under the influence, that's why I'm in recovery now. Like I've been clean almost 7. For sure, but the law does help me. The law being in place helps me realize, okay, if I do this, there's consequence.
Right. I mean, yeah. There's an argument. The thing is about is it the laws that influence our behavior? I don't know why people keep dropping. Y'all can come up. Y'all can stay up. I'm almost done.
Oh, my bad. I hope I'm not talking too much. I can get going if you want to.
Yeah. We'll talk again. I'll bring you back.
No, I appreciate you, and I hope we could see more eye to eye than less eye to eye, or whatever the saying is. But you seem like a very rational, reasonable person, and I appreciate you having a space like this for people to come up and talk. And I think this is very helpful.
Yeah, not a problem. Hey, I appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you too. Yeah, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, you as well.
And I hope you do something fun this week.
Oh, whoops. Hey, my bad. My bad. I cut you off. Hey, sorry about that. I did cut you off. My bad. I didn't mean to do that. All right, let's get to the caller. 256. How's it going? 256. Can I get your name, age? How you doing? Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board?
My name is Mary. I'm 20, and I didn't see what you had on the board, but I saw you said something about leftist policies are better, specifically. That's what I wanted to call in about.
Yeah, that's what I have on the board. Leftist policies are better for society. Did you disagree?
I don't disagree with that inherently, but which flavor of leftism do you prescribe to specifically?
I'm more in the anti-capitalist camp. I think basically I'm not in the Democrat camp, because the Democrats are still capitalists in my opinion, and still have like overlords, like they still have basically oligarchs that they follow. So I'm more on investment into renewable energies, into better infrastructure for our society, things like that.
For yourself to be believing in.
Let's go ahead and get
specifically.
Yeah, I'm more of a social democrat, correct?
Okay.
Or at least I think society should move in that fashion, in that way.
In that way, through democratic and working with capitalism. Okay.
Right now, we have to work under it, but I think we should move away from capitalism if we can, as much as possible.
Think that capitalism can just I don't think you can just like get away from it through democratic means, through social democracy. It's too entrenched. I mean, social democrats, your heart's in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
They murdered Rosa Luxemburg. They always, they tend to eventually just work with the capitalists and the fascists instead of the working class, like in Germany. But specifically, it's like you can't really get rid of capitalism through democratic means. It requires something like, you see what happened with Russia in 1917, Cuba in 1959. So, I don't know, how do you feel about it there? Instead of because I feel like you really can't get rid of capitalism through democratic means.
Yeah, I see a lot of people say that. I do get that, right? I do get that, because like there's still people who have all the power and all the resources, right? So it's very, very difficult to move away from capitalism if we still have the system that we have in place. I would say people are still primed for revolution, but they're not ready for it. So we what I would like to do is kind of like try to re-educate away from Cold War propaganda and meet people's material conditions in order to get them to understand that we don't need capitalism and we can get rid of it. Now, I do see how that's incrementalism, which concerns a lot of people who are like either Marxist-Leninist or anything like that, right? That's very, very concerning, because like you're still working under the framework of capitalism, and capitalism is exploitation. It's just that because we have so much Cold War propaganda, people need to understand that, what communism actually is, what Marxism actually is, and they don't yet. So in the meantime, while we're educating, let's at least get these things passed so the material conditions are met and people are living better lives. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not sure if that makes sense to you, or do we just need to overthrow them? I agree that we just need to overthrow them, but I don't think we're at that point yet. We're not ready. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, we may not be at that point, but we're really approaching it. You have I don't know what I can say or can't.
Oh, I agree.
say on
We're
this,
approaching
but,
it.
You've
I agree. We're
seen
approaching it.
recent
Yeah.
stuff. Like the warehouse and all that.
Mhm.
People
Yeah,
are getting angry.
Yeah. No, I agree. We're approaching
But-
it. We're approaching it. Yeah, I mean, and thank goodness
Mhm.
we are. Yeah, I mean, it's just that within the working class, there are still people who will fight for the billionaires. You know what I'm saying? I want to at least, that's why I do things like this. At least try to reach those people to say, hey, do you think these conditions will be better for us as a society? And usually they say yes. And I always point out to them, okay, these are the systems that are in place for us to not get it. You see what I'm saying? And of course, I get other people who want to fight against it. Yeah, you feel me? But most people in our class, they agree we need to address these conditions. Like, all right, cool. This is the reason why we ain't getting it. You know what I'm saying? So once we're at that point, we'll be able to overthrow it. And of course, we gotta re-educate them from anti-blackness as well. That's a big thing. I think a lot of the arguments that happen between black leftists and white leftists is class reductionism. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to. I don't think we can address abolishing capitalism without addressing anti-racism. Yeah, I mean, we have to get on that ball.
Yes.
And once we get on that ball, I think we'll get the ball rolling. Now, there are people, just like how I said before, Cold War propaganda, still a lot of white supremacy. If we can, once I see people looking at material conditions, then I start to introduce them into anti-racism. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes I do it the opposite way. I introduce them into anti-racism, then I address material conditions. You know what I mean? But I want to address all the propaganda first, because if we just say revolution, a lot of them are not ready for it. I'm not sure if that makes sense to you.
Yeah. I guess one more thing. How do you feel about the left really has our main problem is outreach and actually getting, people into it. Whereas the right, you have all these different groups like Patriot Front, the Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, Adam Wathan, and you don't really have that on the left. So, I feel like the main thing is really just,
Oh yeah. I got you. No, I do understand that, right? One thing that I've said is that the Black Panthers will probably never happen again, but that doesn't mean that we can't have something like it. You see what I mean?
Well, I feel like it would be it would be possible for the Black Panthers to come back. I mean, not in the form it was, but it's still possible.
Yeah. Not the way that it was. But we can still bring it back, because the Black Panthers, they had some issues, so we gotta address that first. And now we know what the issues were, and we can go ahead and address those and make it better. But just like something like that, like how the Black Panthers were, what was that? Weather Underground? What was that their name? What's their name again? Was that their name? Weather Underground?
The Rainbow Coalition?
There's a Rainbow Coalition. Yeah, we gotta bring those back. Something like the Black Panthers, something like the Rainbow Coalition, something like the Pink Panthers and the White Panthers. I think the Pink Panthers were for the LGBTQ community, and the White Panthers were for the Young Lords, for Hispanic people. What was the other one? The Young Patriots.
Young Patriots.
Young Patriots, definitely. We have to bring those things like that. Now, unfortunately, I think if you have a Young Patriots today, they're gonna be full of people who are, more Stormfront guys or Patriot Front guys than actual Young Patriots. You see what I mean?
Well, the equivalent to the Young Patriots organization is the John Brown Gun Club and Redneck Revolt.
Yeah, John Brown Gun Club and Redneck Revolt. 100% support those guys. And right now, the organization that I'm with is called Black Men Build. They're not as militant as I am, but I'm encouraging it. Yeah, I mean, because there's a lot of brothers in there who do want to become more militant. I think it's just we're at the building phase right now before we get into that. Do you mind giving me a second, because someone on my TikTok had a question? All right, give me 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
Sure thing.
Hello. I'm like, if there's been, I remember, I think I heard something about the Black Panthers and stuff. I wanted to ask him what would make him think that the Black Panthers could exist, like they previously did in modern day. Now, I do have, to be fair, I have my own issues a lot of the Black Panthers and some of their lead child. I'm not even going to get into that right now.
Mhm.
But I do want to ask him, especially with this political climate, what would make him think that Black Panthers could exist as they did in modern times?
Gotcha. All right. So, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, caller. What was your name again?
Mary.
Mary. Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, good. All right. So, Mary, over on my TikTok, Kay asks, in our modern times with our current political climate, what do you, what makes you think that the Black Panthers even could exist at this current moment? Which is why I agree. Which is why I say that the way right now the Black Panthers, the way that it was back then, it can't exist now. Yeah, I mean, because of the political climate. But you said that you think that it can come back. What makes you think that it could with our current political conditions?
Well,
Hurry, style your VIP for
essentially,
the red
Man.
we still have a lot of systemic injustice, and that's what really caused Black Panthers to, need to be a thing. We have a lot of different groups that are claiming to be the successors to the Black Panther Party, though some of them don't really align with the original vision. I feel like with the material conditions today, and with more and more people becoming educated on, like I'm 20 years old and I got educated on philosophy and everything. I feel like a group like that, it could really, I feel like it could exist today. It would be possible to, but it's unlikely, but it'd be possible.
Okay. No, I
need
I
someone like Fred.
Like Fred Hampton.
You need someone, charismatic like him.
Yeah, I got you. So it basically you're saying that because of the material conditions, that's exactly the reason why it could exist. It's just that the funnel for it, the infrastructure for it, is not there at the moment. But it could simply because of the conditions. Give me one second, Mary.
I also don't necessarily disagree with the fact that the Black Panthers, what got them together was initially with social and political injustices. But I do have let's say that the Black Panthers were to I have concerns specifically as a Black woman, with especially with the current mindsets of Black men and how that would because it was problematic before. We had Black the things that Black men were doing to the Black women within the Black Panthers was atrocious. And all of those things. So I do have I would have many concerns if the Black Panther Party were to exist in modern day.
Right, gotcha. All right. So Mary, I'm gonna let you go real quick because this is gonna be a conversation I'm gonna have later. But I do appreciate you coming up. Definitely call in anytime and follow me. All right.
Hope you have a great day.
You too. Yeah. So yeah, Kay. It's the same thing with me, right? Whenever I meet, when I meet with my organization, we talk about that as well. About the issues that the Panthers had. Of course, misogyny. And even though like the official line of the party was that sexism is anti-revolutionary, unfortunately, that they didn't live up to that. Yeah, they didn't live up to that. So
but also here is also another thing that I had. It was the misogyny, it was the colorism, it was the abuse. But there is another thing that I don't think that we talk about often is that I know this is not a conversation you want to have on your panel. I know it's not, but Black men are very color struck. I'm like as far as like whiteness and stuff is concerned, and so I have concerns specifically like with men previously with the Black Panthers, like Eldridge Cleaver, and his obsession with white womanhood. And essentially viewing it as superior to Black womanhood. I have concerns about, especially with the mentality, especially it was even bad then, but especially now. The moment that Black women have uncomfortable conversations. I'm like with those Black male leaders are even with the mentality like very white supremacists as far as like the things that they find beautiful. I have concerns that I'm like they would eventually die out eventually because a lot of the Black Panthers they were extremely anti-Black towards Black women. They were.
Right. So yeah, no, that is a concern. Is like if when we bring back or have these organizations, how are we treating our sisters? You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that Black Men Bill talks about a lot. I mean, even though we're a organization for Black men, led for Black men about our issues about for Black men and boys, we always say that, you know, sisters are always welcome. Like there's a sister circle all the time down in Miami, of course. And we talk about the issue of, you know, colorism and anti-Blackness in our society as well, because as we're addressing external issues, we gotta talk about our own internal issues and our own internal struggles as well. What exactly causes a lot of Black men to view like whiteness as a superior lens? Because at the end, what I try to do when I have these conversations,
and it's not even just whiteness. I've noticed it's also, I'm like, and now this could go back because Latina's not a race, right? I understand that, but when Black men even talk about Latinas, I normally see that they are either white or they are non-Black, meaning they're maybe native or mestizo or whatever stuff. I rarely see them uplifting, like calling non-Black, like the Black Latina spicy and stuff like that, and viewing that as the preference. So when I say Latino or Latina, know that I'm talking about people that are not racially Black.
Yeah, the white passing ones.
Right.
So when we talk about the those type of concepts, right? What I try to control is to. Yeah, we can say, there are Black women who do it too. We all know about the divestors, those evil women. We get that part, right? But I want to talk about like Black men specifically, like what is causing what is causing it could be a Black community issue, specifically towards Black men. What is us? What's causing us to do that, right? So that's what I control the conversation to go more towards. Like addressing our internal problems. And I think a lot of reason why that is because of the way that society is set up. The way society is set up, of course, is that whiteness is the standard. Is the superior standard. You know what I'm saying? So we need to talk about our own self-esteem and how Black men can take pride in our own Blackness and not necessarily our maleness being superior to women or females. It shouldn't be a superiority contest. We need to stop competing. You know what I mean? I think that's one of the big issues with our society.
I actually have had, because it actually goes into, so I have a mutual on this app. Her name is Lilith's daughter. I think I've sent you some of her lives, but I have a mutual on this app, and she has had a panel, right? And I'm like, in the background, in this conversation in particular, the panel that I'm talking about is, what do Black men choose first, their maleness or their Blackness? When I tell you every single Black man that came on that panel said their maleness, I mean, 9 times out of 10, I can name on my 5 hands how many said their Blackness.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a problem. Yeah, and that's a problem.
Okay, I've had. I'm like, we had it. Listen, I will never forget the South African man that came up on that panel and said that he would literally submit to white, to slavery as long as that white man fed him and kept a roof over his head. Literally said they would submit.
Yeah, that's insane.
To slave. I'm like, I promise you, that's not a made up story. Like, that is actually something that happened.
That happened, exactly.
But I do want to address like the comment around divestment in particular, because I feel like that is a direct response to what Black women have been experiencing in the Black community for decades, specifically and particularly how Black men have been showing up to Black women regarding the colorism, the texture, the featureism issues, also the rate of abandonment of Black women and children, along with the fact that Black men have been dating out literally at twice the rate of Black women for decades. So I even made this comment on Clubhouse. I feel like talking about divestment and not talking about the material conditions that led to divestment being a thing is completely disingenuous.
No, I get that part, right? Which is why I don't really talk about divestors, because I do get that it's something that's in response. But if you're in like clubhouse groups talking to someone in the KKK saying to just kill black men,
that I didn't. I didn't agree with. But what I did agree with was centering the experiences of Black women and girls and putting us first. That I absolutely did agree with, and maybe possibly having to expand our options if we want to find like more eligible men, because at the end of the day, colorism and texturism and featureism do impact like black women socially, economically, and our dating lives. I think there was actually stats that showed that Black women with lighter skin were able to find Black men with higher means and education than darker skinned Black women.
Yeah.
As far as marriage rates.
Yeah.
These are all something that. So that is something I absolutely did agree with. Like, we do need to put ourselves first, because oftentimes in the Black community, we center Black men even at the detriment of Black women and children.
Yeah. What I always try to center, especially in organizations with Black men build, I try to center like our young men. Yeah, I mean, like the boys, that's
the important, especially with the red pill manosphere.
It's all that. Exactly. We have to censor their needs, because of course, like, there are laws that come out in Florida, which is basically, there's a law that is coming out in Florida that's basically COINTELPRO, and even though I know it's going to attack us, I'm always whenever there's teenagers in our conversation, I always ask them, how is the conversation happening in your schools? What are you guys talking about? Who are you following? Yeah, I mean, and thankfully, a couple of teenagers that we had at the last meeting, when I asked them, they said, "Hey, listen, how do y'all feel about people like the Fresh and Fits of the world and Fugazi podcast?" And thankfully, thank goodness, they said, "We think they're dweebs." We're like, "Oh, thank God."
Oh my God.
Thank goodness. He said, "Oh, yeah, those guys are dweebs. We don't follow them." We're like, "Oh my God, thank goodness." You know what I mean?
Because even now, like, I remember, like, before, like, the 2024 election with Kamala Harris, in particular, there was data showing that Black, I could take it out of race and ethnicity portion for a second. Women, there are political disparities between young men and women currently, and essentially women are going more left and men are going farther right.
Right. Yeah, and that's a huge concern for me. Now, from what I'm seeing, is happening slower with Black men, but the fact that it's happening at all is still a concern.
It is happening. I've seen this, and I have felt that even on Clubhouse, like when I was on there, I'm like, I had named that this was something that was going to happen, and I felt like it was going to be in response to Black women getting farther, and finally not centering ourselves specifically in social media spaces. Now, now in real life, Black women are still extremely are not centered and disadvantaged and all of these things. But but visually, we can create spaces for ourselves to kind of talk about our issues and the things that we need. But the thing is, the funny thing is, I don't think any Black women would have any issue with Black men having conversations about their particular intersections.
Yeah. Express yourself, Black men.
Organization. Yeah, because I do think that is needed, and I think that and I've said this many times in social media. I think that Black men do need to worry about this. I have conversations about their needs instead of bullying Black women.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
Exactly. It's like express yourself, Black men. That's one thing that I follow. I follow Professor Odie. He's great when it comes to this conversation. And it's definitely.
But I do have my issues with him too. But
I've heard people have issues with him, but I've never. I don't.
I do think he has some great things, but I do think some of the things he says can be problematic.
Gotcha.
Sometimes.
Give me one second.
I got to it a year ago on Threads, actually.
Okay, on Threads, gotcha. Give me 1 second.
It was a while ago,
Okay.
but I had forgotten about it because I had gotten off Threads for a year, and I came back a year later, and then I saw all the responses.
Yeah. All right, give me 1 second. All right, guys, go ahead and call in, please, if you disagree with what I have on the board. People just keep bringing up the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, and we don't even know all the details of what's going on with that. All right, so I don't know why I just jump into
I've
conclusions.
been
We don't even
hearing
know the
about
details.
that. I heard about that last night in a lot. Could someone tell me what's going on with the Southern Poverty Law Center?
What's going on is that
I heard that last night.
Yeah, what's going on is that the Justice Department indicted them for funding
the Triple K, is that what it is?
The Triple K and those organizations, or at least individuals in those places, right? Now, from what I'm getting on the ground is that what they're trying to say is that they were funding informants. Yeah, I mean, they were paying informants, not paying members. They're paying informants, right? Which always happens. But because that's now it's an indictment of you funding these people.
So they're being disingenuous.
They're being disingenuous, exactly. As far as what I understand. Give me 1 second, Michaela.
Call from
John.
How's it going, John? Are you at least 18? And what did you want to talk about?
6'7".
All right.
Okay, girl.
Yeah.
That was a troll.
Because they was on about 6'7". All right, yeah. So we need to know exactly what's going on first instead of just jumping to conclusions. And people keep bringing up the XPLCs, like, y'all, is the SPLC the entire left? Yeah, y'all don't make it. I hate when people do that,
Also,
right? It's like it doesn't make any sense to me.
Also, what I find to be annoying, like just annoying, is the fact that, like I said, it is disingenuous. Also, I didn't see any of this energy for the fact that the Triple K was highly supportive of Trump's campaign in 2024. The Trump, I'm like the Triple K, I don't know if I could say it. Can I say PB on here? Can I say that word? PB, PROD.
Them.
Why?
Yeah, you can say that.
Can I say that one? Okay, the Triple K, the Proud Boys. That's why I was like, oh, I don't know if I can say that. Many white supremacist organizations were out there supporting Donald Trump and also funding his campaign for president. And I don't see any of these people who are so worried about the Poverty Law Center. Dude, also. This I'm like, is it because I think I saw something about Donald Trump trying to persecute the people who are exposing members of the Triple K?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I just want to make sure I look this up right now because people are claiming that they were funding the leaders or funding the entire organization completely, and that's wrong. They were paying witnesses. That's who they were.
And also it's disingenuous because the people who are making that argument, I think, are on the far right. And I know y'all don't give a damn about Notre Dame Triple K. Like, let's be so for real. Like,
yeah,
you're just trying to use it to stick it to the left.
Yeah,
because let's not act like you care about Black people or our minorities like that. Like, aren't y'all getting the minorities deported because you want a white ethno state? Like, let's be so honest.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like they're being accused by the Justice Department, but they haven't been indicted. They haven't been charged. There's no credible evidence or records that they were funding the Triple K. There's no evidence of this yet. So,
but here is also the thing, though: the people who it seems like are making this argument are also the people that support the 34 convicted felon in the White House.
Exactly.
That man couldn't even vote for president, but he could become one. That alone is white male privilege right there. A felon can't even vote for president, but he can become the president. I still can't wrap my head around that type of foolishness.
Exactly. It's kind of crazy. All right. So I haven't gotten any guests yet. The only one I got was basically a troll. So I'm asking for people over on the Deconstruction Junction to either join over on TikTok or to call in. Let me just give a few shout outs. Thank you so much if you're watching me over on the Vaulty Thoughts channel. Thank you so much, guys. Shout out to my mod over there on the Vossi Thoughts channel. WW, I can't say why WEED anymore because I got flagged for that one time. But WW, because thank you so much. Resist, thank you so much for supporting me over there as well. Over on the Deconstruction Junction, like I said, go ahead and call in. Yeah, I mean, go ahead and call in if you disagree with what I have on the board. If you disagree with what I have on the board, go ahead and call in. Coyote, again, there's no credible evidence of what you're saying. So if you say that they're going to be found guilty, then that means that there was a kangaroo court. There's no evidence of what they're saying. So call in. All right, and Hellhound, you can go ahead and call in as well. I appreciate you if you're watching me over on Deconstruction Junction, even those who disagree. So I'm just waiting for any more guests. If I don't get any within the next few minutes, I'm just gonna go ahead and end the live here, and I'm gonna go ahead and get something to eat.
Now, I will say, because I wanted to comment, I think I commented a little bit in the chat, but I couldn't get all of it out. You were talking about like the Jackson movie. I'm surprised no one has talked about like the fact that there was even a Black Jackson to play Michael.
Yeah.
That is like a conversation. Because listen, Michael Jackson's own children couldn't play him.
Yeah, they
couldn't play him. Like they wouldn't have been able to play him. So the fact of the matter is, I'm just shocked that there was a Black Jackson. Now I haven't seen it. I do want to watch it, but I'm just shocked that there's a Black Jackson even available to play it because like, and then it's funny because
actually, it looks like there actually are a lot of Black Jacksons.
Really?
I looked up a family picture of them. It looks like Michael is, because Michael had the issues with his skin. So and then his
vitiligo, it was vitiligo, but his children phenotypically do not look anywhere close to Michael Jackson.
I think those kids were sperm donors.
Phenotypically white children.
Those are white children. Yeah, I think he got either egg donors or sperm donors for those. To tell you the truth, but like, I mean,
there's debates on whether or not like those are his biological children, regardless. But here is the thing: regardless if they're biologically his or not, they don't phenotypically look like Michael.
They don't phenotypically look like him. Yeah.
Okay, even if they, because like that's just. I did not know that there was still Mike. I mean, because it's funny because I've made the argument in the past. Like, I feel like there's going to be more Black Kardashians in the future than there are Black Jacksons, which is a crazy thing to think, but it's so true. Like, because the public, the people who are public, like the prime public figures in the Jackson family, their children are their grandchildren, especially are white. Like a lot of the ones I have seen, they're like their grandchildren. Especially, so it's just shocking that there was
I gotta see more of the third generation, but like surprisingly,
I'm wondering, I'm curious. There's surprisingly some Black Jacksons around still. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's some Black Jacksons.
I'm sure it was a good movie. I just haven't watched it yet. Is it? Do you know what? If it's streaming on Hulu or HBO Max yet?
Oh no, not yet, because it just came out, so it's not be streaming.
It's yet. In theaters.
It's in theaters, yeah. Right now, it's in theaters.
Listen, I grew up on Michael Jackson, like being a Black American, growing up in a Black American household. We all grew up with like Michael Jacksons, and
yeah, even over in Haiti, like you know who Michael Jackson was, even over in Haiti. Yeah, I mean, so it's like it's a lot of them there.
People all over the world knew who Michael Jackson
was,
and Whitney Houston was, but he did. But I am very proud because he came from my ethnic group. So it's
like, yeah, definitely. Michael Jackson is legendary. Yeah, man, a
legendary. Like, and we have a lot of Black American legends. To be fair, like we have Whitney Houston, we have Janet, we have of course Michael, we have Josephine Baker, Angela Bassett, I would put up there. Actually,
Angela Bassett, she's way up there. Angela Bassett is definitely.
Angela Bassett is the GOAT. Period.
Give me 1 second.
From
Larry, how's it going? Are you at least 18? And what did you want to talk about?
Yes, I'm at least 18. I wanted to, I see it says leftist policies are better for society. I guess I want to ask you, what do you mean exactly by leftist policies?
Gotcha. All right. So just to let you know, I have someone on my TikTok. If you hear me be quiet for a second, that's because they're asking me a question, and I'll get back to you, but you won't be able to hear them. Okay. All right. So
Okay.
when I talk about leftist policies, I always preference with this. They're normal everywhere else. Only in America are these considered leftist. All right. So the policies I'm talking about are things such as universal health care, universal education, guaranteed housing, parental leave, investment into walkable cities and renewable energies, addressing pollution and climate, things of that matter. Those would be the leftist policies that I'm talking about that I think will be better for society because they decrease stress, they give us more time with our families, they even increase production because we're less stressed and we're healthier. Those would be better for society. Do you think they wouldn't be?
I think some of those things that you mentioned would be beneficial for society. Like more paid family leave. I definitely think those things could be better for society. I guess where things could be a little concerning is a centralization of certain markets and where the government is more, obviously in control, and certain things are more centralized. Where in that situation, like it could become more bureaucratic and less responsive than like decentralized market systems.
Like what?
Well, I mean, healthcare is one area. Name some of the things that you listed again, because I know you said
guaranteed housing, investment into renewables, paid parental leave. When it comes to healthcare, though, isn't our healthcare already extremely bureaucratic with the private market being there already?
Bureaucratic. Yeah, I mean, it can definitely be. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the only difference between universal health care and the private market that exists now is that it won't be for profit, and it takes out the middleman of administrators, because you'll be surprised how many administrators that private health insurance uses. I used to work for an administrative company in private health insurance. You know what I mean? Like it was all just paperwork basically. We were just pushing papers, and they were just paying us to push papers in order to delay paying out the claims. You see what I'm saying? So like all that would go away if we had universal healthcare.
Okay. Could we still probably have, a case for private healthcare in addition to universal healthcare?
I wouldn't see a problem with that because I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, just because I do believe in options for people. I mean, if there's just one centralized option, I guess that's like kind of what I'm meaning here is, if you have one centralized option, that's not really an option. You know what I mean? That's in a way it's de facto like forced, because that's your only option that you have. Mm-hmm. And so I do believe in having some choice and not just having one thing that, one size fits all, because especially how diverse healthcare is. So, I mean,
the thing is when it comes to universal healthcare, right? Like it'll be a situation where literally everyone gets it. So it's not an issue where, I'm paying taxes and you're paying taxes, but if I make more money than you, then I can't get universal healthcare. That's how it works now with the Medicaid system. Or if I'm not 65, I can't get Medicare. With universal healthcare, we're all paying into the system, and we can all get healthcare whenever we want. Now, there are systems out there in other countries where the private market exists, and besides it, but it's usually for luxuries, like for if you want like plastic surgery, if women want to get, BBLs or, bigger boobs and stuff like that. Yeah, that there's that private market exists for luxurious stuff. But for everything else, for your basic needs, for your basic care, and even for your very emergency needed care, like, cancer and stuff like that, all that just covered under universal health care, and the private market doesn't need to cover any of it. You see what I'm saying? Like I get the concern about choices, but just like how we don't have another choice to use the public road because the government pays for it all, it'll essentially be the same thing with universal health care. We just don't think about roads that way. We don't think about, we need a private company to build the roads. No, the government takes care of it, so we just don't think about it. I wonder, it would be basically the same thing for healthcare.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it could just be more of a tighter, more regulated market, in a sense, like, for example, like an HMO versus a PPO, right? I mean, an HMO, there's only selected doctors, but if you pay more, and you pay more for a PPO, then that kind of, obviously you have more choice. So, I mean, maybe there could be like some kind of universal healthcare system, but I just believe it would be most likely more of a tighter type of system in order to, ensure what should be more fiscally responsible onto the country and the taxpayer. Maybe there's room for both there. I think many leftist type policies, emphasize usually like higher taxes on like wealth and income and stronger regulation and expanded government programs. And the thing is, like, if taxes become too high or like regulations become too heavy, individuals or businesses may feel less motivated to invest and take risks or even expand.
But
so like for an example, if an entrepreneur decided, to start a company, one might hesitate if a large share of potential profits will be taxed away, or if compliance costs are very high. And so over time, that could reduce job creation and slow down innovation.
But the thing is, this doesn't happen in any other country. So, like, why would it happen here?
It in a way it does when you compare it to the United States. I mean, the thing is, in the United States, since we don't have as much regulation as, let's say, some of the European countries, we have way more, trade, commerce, and innovation than a lot of these other countries. I mean, yeah, they do have innovation, but not at the same level of growth and expansion as America does.
Right, but the only reason why that is because America is the wealthiest nation on the planet. Before America, it was what was that name? It was the UK that was coming out with all the innovations. Before them, it was France. You see what I'm saying? So and not only that, when America is no longer the wealthiest nation, is going to be China coming out with all the innovations. You see what I'm saying? So that's really and not only that, our diversity. We have a lot of diverse minds here, which is why things innovate a lot. But one thing that I would say is that when it comes to other countries, right? Their jobs didn't slow down because they got universal health care and parental leave. They're still highly employed people and happy people, because the thing is, what we talk about here is that people think that you're going to get the higher taxes without any trade-off. But if your taxes are 45%, but you don't have to worry about paying any health insurance bills, you don't have to worry about if your kid goes to a good school because you know it is because is funded. You don't have to worry about any stress of losing your house or your mortgage or your child care, because child care is taken care of, which means you can have more kids. You don't have to worry about if you're going to be homeless one day because you have guaranteed housing. You can get housing from somewhere. There's trade-offs here, right, to your high taxes, even if it's 45%, but crime is very, very low because of material conditions are taken care of. And not only that, you can take the bus everywhere, or you can walk to places. You don't have to worry about your car bills or car insurance because you got rid of your car because you have a more walkable city. There's trade-offs here. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, my taxes are 45%, but my life is better. See what I mean?
Yeah, no, I see that trade-off as well. It to me, that's like maybe a different kind of cultural standard, I guess, because the American culture is different in that way. I mean, we have more of a free market system, and you said America is the most wealthiest country in the world. I mean, well, there's a reason for that. We do have like a strong market system. a market oriented economy, and which encourages entrepreneurship, investment, and competition. And it's definitely tied to that free market idea where there's more decentralized market and commerce than a centralized one in like those other countries. So I mean,
but
there's
let me ask you a question.
there.
Let me ask you a question. Does Scandinavia have a free market system?
Not as free as the American system.
What is not?
There are more.
Right.
What is more centralized?
What is more centralized? Because the only thing that's really centralized in Norway is that their oil industry is nationalized. That's pretty much it. What's centralized over there?
Ask him. Has he even researched any other
their
country
healthcare system's
systems?
definitely centralized. Their energy sector, like you were just saying, especially oil, but not just oil. So they have their healthcare system, their
energy sector, yeah. So the oil,
which is huge,
right?
Mm-hmm.
So they nationalize their oil, and they have universal health care. Are you saying because of those things they're not as free as America?
No, not that the people aren't as free, just that the market's just obviously more centralized, and so.
But it's not. The oil is the only thing that's nationalized. Everything else is and they have universal health care. What I'm saying is that they have they nationalize their oil because they want their natural resource to benefit the people, right? But I would say, why would this be a bad thing? Shouldn't the natural resources of a country benefit the people? Why wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean it can, but but I was just trying to get to the point where, like, you said, America is more wealthy, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, the reason for that is because of the petrodollar. All oil is traded in our currency. If it wasn't, we probably wouldn't be the wealthiest. And not only that, after World War II, we were the only country that wasn't rebuilding from being bombed to shit. You know what I mean? So that's basically the reason.
Well, I mean, we do have lower regulation, like we do have more institution like stability, like property rights, contract enforcement.
That exists in other countries as well, though.
Businesses invest more when they trust, rules.
Yeah, correct. But that exists in other countries as well.
Well, not as much. I mean, the thing is, it's not too different in European countries, which I know, like you mentioned, Norway. But when you start getting more centralized, it's not. So,
like where, like China?
Like, let's say, well, like when you yeah, I mean, if you compare more of a centralized, country, more centralized country, you actually see more poverty. If you look at, a lot of the countries that have most of everything state owned, you actually see more poverty.
Like
but
where?
When you look at European, well, there's a lot of Asian countries, even Russia, for example. There's a wider gap between the classes of people. You see a wider gap in classes of people when you have more centralized systems. Now you could have like a hybrid type mixed system like those European countries, sure, but see how more wealthier the countries are when they start to kind of when they have more breadth, when they have more of a distance between the government and those different types of systems, where you have America, which has the least amount, was more wealthy. You have those other European countries.
But then how do you explain China? Because China in the Chinese system, they're basically state capitalism. Their government basically plans the economy. It runs everything. They tell the companies what goals that they're going to have and what they need to reach. Like they overview a lot of that, right? But the other thing about that is that even in countries where the government is completely hands off, you still have massive poverty. A lot of the countries in Africa and the Caribbean are like that. The government is completely hands off, completely free market. My parents are from a country that's like that. Like over in Haiti, it's basically a capitalist wet dream. There's essentially no regulations over there. You know what I'm saying? and is the poorest country in the Caribbean. You see what I mean? So it's not that they're less government involvement, more wealth. Is more about stability, right? It's more about government stability. It's more about following, just like how you said, certain rules. It's more about trust in a society and trust for the government to enforce contracts. When you don't have a government that's going to enforce contracts, that's when you're going to have massive poverty. When you don't have actual like stable policies or a stable political system, then you're going to see much more poverty. It's not really about, the government's not regulating or that they're hands off. It's more about the trust that the people have within the government to enforce the rules and the contracts, right?
No, I can see that. Like Haiti, I mean, there are countries where the government may be more hands off, but there's other factors that come to that. I mean, Haiti might not be as much of a resourceful country with natural resources that could be.
No, there's natural resources there. There's natural resources there. It's just that the government is untrustworthy. There's natural resources there. There's cocoa, fish, rice, gold. Matter of fact, if you have a cologne in your house right now, which most men do, the oil for that cologne, it likely came from Haiti. We represent 50% of those oils. It's just that those companies are if I was the leader of Haiti, right, I would nationalize that industry because that money used to go to us, but it's not. You see what I'm saying? They just get kickbacks from a company that owns it. I think it's a French company that owns it, and they just get kickbacks. You see what I mean? So like it's issues like that. That's what I'm trying to say is that the reason for America's wealth is more built upon stability and the fact that the petrodollar is owned by us. It's not necessarily because the government is hands off in the market, because the market is bad at regulating itself. We've seen that over and over again. You see what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different factors. I mean, Haiti, I mean, it's not very trusted because, I mean, they've had a lot of different coups and different government scandals. They've had a lot of corruption, misuse of funds. I mean, misuse of public money is a huge thing in Haiti.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I'd be very wary as an investor to invest in the country.
Invest in Haiti. Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Whether they're decentralized or not, I mean, the government is very untrustworthy. But
exactly.
I mean, what I'm saying is, like, in China, for example, yeah, they are. You can call it that, a state-ran capitalism, I guess, but they have a very wide wealth gap there. Very wide wealth gap because most of those industries are state controlled. And so I think, you probably can find somewhere in the middle. Like, I know a lot of leftists, like to refer to the European countries as like a good middle ground. But what I see there is wealth expands, as you mentioned, why America is the wealthiest country in the world, is when you have more economic breadth. And that is when things are allowed to expand and you have less of that governmental overhead and overreach and regulation. And that's just what it is. You know what I mean? You compare,
I get that. I get where you're coming from, right? But like China and even Vietnam would kind of like be examples of this not being the case, or even Singapore will be examples of that not necessarily being the case, because the government can plan the economy, because they're heavily planned over there in China. The government can plan the economy, and they still lifted almost 500 to 600 million people out of poverty. Yeah, the wealth gap is still big, just like it is here in America. The wealth gap is still pretty big. You see what I'm saying? Like the 1% owns more than half the country. You see what I'm saying? So the wealth gap is still pretty big. I do get that part, because that's what capitalism does. Basically, there's always going to be inequality. But what I'm saying is that, like, I don't disagree with you that a government can be overwhelming. I don't disagree. I disagree with you there. I guess what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to leftist policies, is not necessarily about the government controls everything. It's more about putting these policies in place that will be better for the country and have more advantage to us. Like, we can do the Scandinavian model. They have a huge social safety net, and they still have a free market economy. Like, the government isn't controlling every facet of their lives over there. You see what I mean?
Right. It is. I do see those countries, though, also being a little more homogenous and having less immigration and less like influx. they have a more stable model, so that a lot of those social leftist programs can be stable. There's a lot of factors, I think, that do come into play to have those policies actually work in the correct fashion.
The issue that I've always had with that argument, right, that they're more homogenous, is that I kind of find it a bit ridiculous. Like, are we saying that because 17% of the country is black, 25% is Hispanic, 66% is white, therefore no universal health care? That sounds ridiculous to me, because it's like, what's going to be the difference? We can't all go see the doctor because one person is Asian and another person is white. That sounds kind of, you see what I mean? Like that what does them being homogenous even mean? I mean, not what it mean, but what, like, I'm more like, so what? Yeah, I mean, they still have universal health care, guaranteed housing, and investment into their infrastructure. Are we saying because, you know, we have a certain portion of like a racially diverse society, therefore we can't invest into renewable energy? That sounds ridiculous to me. That doesn't make sense.
Well, I mean, in a way it kind of does, and I'll kind of explain why. I mean, the thing is, like, when populations do like share similar language, culture, social norms, they do tend to have like a higher level of social trust and a willingness to pay taxes for shared benefits, and you know, they are a little more united, and there is a lot less political conflict over a certain redistribution, because they are more homogenous.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, how does that not make sense?
So essentially, you're saying we can't have universal health care because of racism.
No, I'm not saying racism. It's just you don't.
We're going to have conflict over allocation of resources. So if black people also benefit from universal health care, therefore none of us can have it. And the thing is, what you're saying, even though I know that's not what you're trying to say, that actually is the case. Like, you ever wondered why does Medicare have a 20% gap?
Gap in what?
Remember, like, because you know how Medicare pays for 80% of your costs, and the other 20% is on you. The reason why that gap exists is because of racism. I'm not even kidding. They said that black people are more poor. They're not going to be able to afford it. Not only that, life expectancy back then for black people was around 55 or 60. So they said they're not going to be living to 65 anyway. So make Medicare 65 and put a 20% gap in it, and then black people will be at a disadvantage. And they passed that. So literally the only reason why we don't have universal health care in America is because of racism. It's even been studied as well. Whenever they studied a whole group of white folks, right? And when they put in a policy, they said this, they agree with the policy. But then when the tester says that black people will benefit from this policy, they support it less because a black person will benefit from it. Like, this is a real thing that happens in America. The only reason why we don't have a lot of these social programs that I'm talking about is literally because of racism. I know that's not what you want or what you're saying that shouldn't happen, but that's where we're at right now. So we have to address. Do you think we have to address that part before we even get to these social programs I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'll have to educate myself more on that. I mean, I'm not saying I don't believe you. Historically, that definitely can be the case. Mm-hmm. I'm just stating that, you know, it is true. It's just that's what it is. Like, mm-hmm. You know, when in those other countries like Norway or the Scandinavian countries, is, you know, they have a higher level of trust with their government, with their society, because they are more homogeneous, and that's just not true for Scandinavian countries. It's also for other countries around the world that are more homogeneous.
No, I agree.
Be more unified. I mean, that's just what it is. And
no, I agree with that. Right. I don't want you to mistake what I'm saying. I do agree with that. That them being more like, they do have more trust in their government. We don't have a lot of trust in our government over here, because that's simply what the American culture is, to not have a lot of trust in your government. And minorities are also not going to have a lot of trust in the government because of, you know, things that happened in the past. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I get that part. That's
exactly.
I do agree with you there.
I mean, you have, in a more homogenous society, you have more like what's it called, like a social contract,
Mhm.
right? Like there's that's a real thing. And so in more homogenous societies, there is more of that social contract that you have.
Mhm.
So there's so many layers to it. I'm not saying that that certain leftist policies don't work.
Mhm.
It's hard to apply it like a Nordic country to America. It's not really apples to apples. Like, I'm not saying that it can't work, and maybe certain things can, but it's just very difficult to implement them.
Mhm. No, that part I don't really have an issue with. I do agree that it's harder to implement. It just as what just happened, it gets to an uncomfortable conversation on what exactly are we saying here. Yeah, what I mean, like we're all going to benefit from this. Are we saying that you want another group of people to benefit less, and then what does that say about our society? Are we trying to get to a place where we're post our ethnic and racial tensions or not? You see what I'm saying? So it is a uncomfortable conversation to have. It does get to that part. I do agree with you that I think most people, no matter what their race, creed, or color is, will like to see their fellow Americans prosper. It's only in the most recent years that we've seen that people don't really want that, and that's why I'm not a Trump supporter, to tell you the truth. But we are at that time. Is it all right? I'll let you go, John, because I gotta go ahead and get off. I appreciate you though.
All right, no problem. Good conversation, man. Thank you.
Not a problem. Have a good one. All right, guys, I am going to get out of here. Once again, I appreciate you all for being here. We're going to go ahead and end the show here. Let me go ahead and get to my super chat. Appreciate you, Resist, for the super chat for the $9.99. Thank you so much for the support, y'all. I really appreciate all the support that you can give me. You guys are amazing. Y'all are awesome, and I do appreciate that. Over on the Deconstruction Junction, I appreciate you guys there as well. I've always say to go ahead and call in. If you want to talk about what I have on the board, there's someone who called. I am sorry that I missed your call, but I will get you next time. The next time that I'm up here, I'm going to have the Discord chat. So you'll be able to join me over on the Discord chat in order for us to have that conversation. But y'all, I do once again appreciate you all for being here. Let me close out this call line now. All right, y'all. Call line is now closed. I'm just gonna go ahead. Once again, thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for discussing with me. Follow me on everywhere. TikTok, Threads, YouTube, Volsy Thoughts. Follow me everywhere. Once again, appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Every man should be soft, be secure, be affectionate, be wise, be